On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, SHOT Show 2020 is in the books. Taran Butler's Precious, the Alien Pistol, and the Robinson M96 is back. Or is it? Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Danny, Marky, and Freeze, and this is episode 159 of the John 1911 podcast. And I'm sitting here listening to the boys talking about who has the worst crazy snow road warrior stories, and you guys are going to have to pull me across the finish line today. It's what is it? What's the time now? It's about 6:25 Eastern Standard Time. Danny's 5:25.
Yes.
And I'm already steaming mad this morning. I've had so many issues. I'm just like, oh God, I'm just, Freeze knows some of the stuff that's going on, but like I'm pissed off at Discus. I'm pissed off at the Gemtech Integra. I'm pissed off at the ZB26 and, a couple other issues. And I'm just like, I just feel like I'm taking crazy pills or something. It's, I just, I can't even stay, and so now we have Danny, chief political correspondent for John1911.com. And I'm actually going to tell him, I don't even want to talk about the impeachment.
You know what, though? Here's the crazy thing about this. I do actually want to hear about it because I am so disinterested in the impeachment. I have not been following anything. And I'm going to rely on Danny to kind of like fill me in on what the fuck's going on. Because
dude, nobody's watching this.
Wow. Yeah, lay it on me. I was going to talk about the sonic parts washer. Okay, well.
No, we definitely, I guess, Freeze, if you don't know, I guess John Bolton, this came out. I've been hearing grumblings about it for maybe 2 days. I guess John Bolton's a former national security advisor for Trump.
No, I think everyone pretty much know who John Bolton is.
Okay, well, a lot of people don't
live in a hole.
Yeah, so he quit or was fired, and John Bolton wants to go to war with everybody, which is fine. So apparently, John Bolton, the word is he left, and then he has a book, and I'm like, when did John Bolton get fired? Like August or something, or it's like or September. It's like when did John Bolton have time to write a goddamn book? So, but anyway, he has to submit it for, classification approval, which is a pretty common thing for former government employees. And I guess copies of this manuscript are supposedly leaking. And he's claiming, the media is claiming, the story is that in the book, he says Trump told him, basically Trump admitted to doing all this shit with Ukraine, or supposedly, or whatever it is. And it's, I can't help but feel like this is like the Russian stuff all over again, all this breathless reporting and, the FISA court, and like, oh, we've got their surveillance and there's this. And, it's just like, God almighty.
Well, if you noticed yesterday when the oh my God revelation came out that Bolton has his book and the New York Times reported on this and all the other stuff. Don't you find the timing just a little suspect that none of this was reported or leaked until the second day of the Republicans' rebuttal?
I have heard some people claim that this seems awfully similar to like what happened to Kavanaugh, like right at the last minute, like when Kavanaugh's getting ready to go in and testify for his confirmation hearing, they drop a bunch of shit right on his head, like a day before or something, and it's just, this.
So what you're saying is it's the same old typical Democratic playbook. There's nothing new here. It's just same old.
Except now they have a much larger audience.
The thing is too, it's not just the Democratic playbook; it's the Republicans. This idea, like I had this conversation the other day with somebody over here in the office. Something came up about Mike DeWine, and I said something probably not charitable, and Mike DeWine's a governor of Ohio. For those that don't live in Ohio, Mike DeWine, and Mike DeWine's a Republican. Why do you have a problem? You should be fine with him. And I'm like, Mike DeWine is just like John Kasich, is just like Mitt Romney, is just like George Bush. These guys, if you give them a chance, they will fuck you. And I mean, yeah.
DeWine is no different than Kasich. Personally, look, I'm a Republican. Anyone that follows us knows that. But look, DeWine's a piece of shit as far as I'm concerned. But then again, I think Kasich was a piece of shit. I mean, and who was governor before Kasich? What was that piece of shit's name?
The Democratic guy that was he was the psychologist in the prisons.
Jesus.
Strickland? Was his name Strickland?
No, it was after Strickland. Actually, to be honest with you, Strickland was a Democrat, and I actually kind of like Strickland. It was a guy after Strickland. Oh man,
I think it's Kasich. I think it's John.
Was
Kasich.
he a Taft? No, was he a Taft?
You're thinking of Bob Taft. Oh
Bob
God,
Taft. Dude, that guy was the
Republican.
biggest piece of shit governor we've ever. Well, I'm not going to say he's the biggest shit governor we've ever had.
He was the biggest piece of shit governor until John Kasich. Again, for those who don't live in Ohio, Republican governor Bob Taft, grandson or something of President Taft, the big Taft family here in Ohio and Washington. And he was the biggest piece of shit governor. And then John Kasich came out of the GOP, was like, oh, yeah? Hold my beer, bitches.
Hold my beer, yeah. And here's the thing. The last governor of Ohio that I thought actually was a decent governor was Strickland, and he was a freaking Democrat. And I'm a diehard Republican. But, Strickland.
Wait a minute. Now, Bob Taft for years refused to sign CCW in Ohio.
Yes, he did.
And did the Republicans and did the House and Senate, State House, did they force his hand, or did they do it with Strickland?
No, they did it with Taft, but they forced it through with Taft.
They vetoed it and override a veto, maybe. I can't even.
It was just like, we're going to do it because Taft is just like, oh no, it was ugly.
Yeah. So anyway, for all the people listening that are like from Ohio that don't really care about our governors, we have a long and sordid history of these bullshit rhino Republicans, and that's kind of the problem. Why we have somebody like Donald Trump is because basically we don't really have a two-party system anymore. I mean, we have communist Democrats and then we have liberal Republicans. And there's no conservatives. There's nobody pulling in the other direction. And that's why somebody like Donald Trump gets elected. And so now you have the Romneys, and I guess now John Bolton and these people that, Bill Kristol, everyone's heard me rant about him, but we'll get off this. We need to talk about, we need when I think I'm having a bad day and I'm having a pretty rough couple days, all I have to do is I have to close my eyes and I have to think of the video of Taran Butler asking some little ghetto chick to show him her precious.
Oh my God! Oh Jesus!
Yeah, well, maybe he felt really home on the range.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this publicly. I know I have been a dirtbag for about the last 35 years, but I actually felt clean after listening to actually watching that video. It's like, wow, Taran Butler actually made me feel clean.
Yeah.
Well, Freeze, that's the difference between, him and people like us. We admit it. this guy's trying to hide it.
Well, Freeze is going to be quiet about what I say what I'm about to say, but let me tell everybody listening. In this conversation, I'm the dirtiest motherfucker of all the dirty motherfuckers you ever heard. And
the only thing I'm going to say about that is you're absolutely 100% correct.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is I'm no prude. I'm no church lady. I'm just keeping it real, dog. And I saw that video what in God's name? And I'm watching it, and first of all, I didn't go to SHOT. I guess I missed. I don't know what happened at SHOT, but I guess this came out during SHOT. And Trigicon is one of the sponsors of Taran's team. And I guess they were like, "Oop, gotta fucking drop this," because Trigicon's a big company.
Yes.
But I'm looking, he's filming it, and I don't know if Taran Butler from Taran Tactical. If people listening don't know who Taran Butler is, if you've ever seen a John Wick movie, you've seen Taran Butler's work. If you've ever seen Keanu Reeves shooting a gun in real life, that's at Taran's range. If you've ever seen a Benelli 3-gun shotgun that's been tricked out, for like thousands of dollars, it's probably one of Taran's shotguns. Taran Butler is right now the resident Hollywood gun trainer to the stars, and he's got his little range outside of L.A. And I don't know what's worse, the video and everybody claiming that they're like, like, oh my God, this is so terrible, or or everybody pretending that Taran Butler running around with these kind of, just going to be honest here, these kind of skanky kind of girls, on his shooting team, and everyone's acting like that. I had no idea that Taran Butler was like this. Taran Butler kind of has this kind of who's the porn star called Hedgehog Free? What's the guy's name?
Ron Jeremy, the Hedgehog.
Taran Butler has
way to go, Freeze.
Taran Butler, I don't know a whole lot about porn, but I do a lot of porn stars. But Taran Butler, girls, and Taran Butler has a kind of Ron Jeremy kind of vibe to him. You know what I mean? Like 10 years ago,
you're correct on the Ron Jeremy vibe, because Ron Jeremy is one of the very few porn stars from like the 70s, 80s, early 90s that's actually a multimillionaire, because he wasn't a fucking dopehead and stupid. And he was a very brilliant guy. I think he's got like a master's degree in like mathematics or something. God, and why do I know this much about Ron Jeremy? But
Ron Jeremy has a master's degree in mathematics. I question that. But, okay.
I could be wrong on whether it's mathematics or not, but feel free to look it up. And if I'm wrong, post it in the comments. But I do believe he holds a master's degree in something. I think it's mathematics. But Ron Jeremy is like the Gene Simmons of music.
You know what? You're right. You're right. He is kind of like the Gene Simmons. But to go back to Taran Butler, it's like everybody's. Like Taran Butler. Okay, and I had to remind Freeze of some of this yesterday. So let's talk about Taran Butler.
Okay.
I have no problem with Taran Butler. I have no problem with Taran Tactical. I have no problem with this business model, because the reality is 10 years ago, when I used to go to SHOT, there would be tons of these gun bunny girls around. Like there were tons of these, let me mute that. Tons of these half naked chicks, and it was a thing. Sex was selling. And then kind of what's happened over the past, say 5-6 years, they've gone away from half-naked booty chicks shooting guns to kind of like real girls that can actually really shoot for real. And so, like Taran Butler, he's an old school business model. And so there's this situation with this Jade girl, this video that we all saw, that, and then there was just like a year or two ago at SHOT Show, it came out, Taran Butler had a girl working for him that was a flight attendant, and she was a cute girl because he always gets these cute little girls. And then she showed up at SHOT Show, and she had come out and in favor of gun control, and it was a huge scandal. And it was like, do you know who you shoot for? And the reality is, she's not a gun person. Taran found this little girl at like a happy hour at Applebee's at the bar where he finds all these girls in Southern California, and basically whatever Ron Jeremy's them, and then get some and like, hey, we'll take pictures and put you on the internet. And they're like, cool, maybe I don't have to do porn. My acting career. Half these girls. I mean, I'm being a little unkind here, but you kind of feel like he shows up with these girls because they went to California to be stars, and it's not working out, and they're at the fork in the road, and it's like I can go to the San Fernando Valley to do porn, or maybe I can go to Taran Tactical and be a bunny chick. So there was that girl, the airline girl. Before that, he had this girl working for him named Amy Jane. And I remember this girl. This girl's very pretty girl. And she could shoot too. But she basically got busted for stolen valor. She was this girl that claimed that she'd been in the Marine Corps. And it got so out of control that she even faked a Marine Corps boot camp graduation photograph in full makeup. And it was, and this is another one of these train wrecks that comes out of his shop, because again, he's not recruiting real gun people. He's recruiting girls at the end of the bar at happy hour at Applebee's in Simi Valley, wherever he's at.
Yeah.
And it's a mess.
Well, I have a question. Maybe gun side, maybe political side, but I believe it would be in the same analogy. Will the Hollywood elite circle the wagons around Taran like the politicians in Washington do? Does Hollywood have its own version of a swamp?
No.
Yeah, they do, but here Taran Butler's not in the Hollywood. Taran Butler is a hanger-on. I'm not saying anything. Taran Butler is more successful in the firearms industry than I am. So I'm not saying anything. I'm not being one of those guys. But Taran Butler is a hanger-on. He's a guy that he's like a lot lizard out there at the movie lots. And he, occasionally gets a major star like Halle Berry or these other people to shoot on his range, but they don't give two shits about him out there. He's not that connected. He's kind of this dirtbag with this dirty little range.
Well, and here's the other side of that coin. The people that watch the John Wick movies, and look, I watched the first two John Wick movies. Have no interest in the third, but look, the people that watch these movies because they're high speed, Keanu Reeves shooting them up movies, and they're great movies, and that's fine, but they don't know who Terrence Tactical is. Look, they may watch the YouTube videos of Halle Berry or Keanu Reeves on his range, but they still have no clue who this douchebag is. And
that's true.
And the truth is, unless the people watching these movies go, hey, the guy who's training your stars is a dirtbag, and we're not going to watch your movies. Otherwise, Hollywood's going to be like, yeah, what the fuck ever. They don't give
they don't care.
This guy's a nobody. And I mean, when I say a nobody, I'm talking about the Hollywood fans, the people that are like fans of the John Wick movie. This guy is a nobody to them.
Yeah, that's correct. Well, I heard a couple things I thought were interesting. And I don't know if they're true, but again, it's all the gun industry kind of hooting and hollering about this. Everybody's virtue signaling, Me Tooing, I guess. They're trying to make this Jade girl into like some kind of sexual harassment victim. And I guess you could make that argument on some level, but especially Freeze and I in particular, and myself in particular, I'm looking at that video, and I'm looking at that Jade girl, and I'm not unfamiliar with Taran Butler's business model, and I'm saying to myself, yeah, she's fucked him before. I mean, this isn't. And apparently, the rumor is that she gets paid $90,000 a year by Taran Butler to be on his shooting team.
Look, I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, if you say the rumor is she gets paid $90K a year, I mean, I'll go with that. That's cool. I mean, I don't know one way or the other if that's the case. But let me tell you something. I watched the video, and although she did not necessarily want to show her fucking boobs and her fucking crotch on camera, she didn't really seem all that put out in. She didn't really seem like. Honestly, if the camera wasn't rolling and it was in the bedroom, I think she would have been stripped ass naked, bent over backwards, taking it raw dog. And I'm just being real. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think she was offended at all in the least bit. I don't think she was being sexually harassed in the least bit. I'm thinking if the camera wasn't rolling and he didn't have his phone up, I'm thinking she would have been all in. And it would have been like a fucking Texas Hold'em at fucking Vegas.
It was more of a peek inside the real life. It was more of a peek inside and peeking into the how the Taran Butler Taran tactical range really functions, as opposed to the Keanu Reeves image. And look, I mean. Not everybody here is innocent. Like Freeze and I discussed this. There's we saw this video of this kid who I have no idea who he is, and he's talking about this video, this Taran Butler situation.
Yeah,
and he's super virtue signaling, and he's doing all this, and it's like, child, okay, first of all. Anyone that's walking around SHOT Show or in this industry and is pretending like they're shocked at Taran Butler, they're shocked at what goes on over there. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Were you shocked what was going on with the Glock shooting team? Because a couple of years ago, I tell you what, if I'd been the CEO of Glock, I'd have shut that team down. I'd have fired every one of those motherfuckers because they were porking. They literally had a minor girl that they'd scraped up this girl. She could shoot, but they get these borderline girls that don't have a whole lot going for them. And this man who was a coach on that team and a husband to one of the Glock team members, this girl was very young, and apparently for an extended period of time, possibly years, as they were traveling across state lines for, quote, Team Glock, they were porking the shit out of this girl in every hotel, in every Motel 6 from here to Smyrna, Georgia. And apparently the rumor is that the coach that went to prison for it wasn't the only one. At least one or two of the female shooting team members that are still in the industry today shooting for other teams were rumored to be a part of it. So let's not go walking around the SHOT Show and going to these after parties and going to these events and act like that everybody's super Christian. It's like, fuck you, liars.
Throwing stones in glass houses.
Yeah. And again, it's not like I'm the guy that, it takes one to know one, and that's all I'm saying. It's like, come on, come the fuck on.
Well, no, and look, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, this is the way I look at it. Look, you can judge. What is his name? Terrence Butler, Terry Butler,
Taran Butler.
Okay, you can look at these videos and judge him however you want. Regardless, this is the way I look at it. He's training all the, he was out there training Keanu Reeves and Halle Berry and all these other people for these Hollywood movies. And I'll tell you what, and again, I haven't seen the last John Wick movie, but if you look at the first John Wick movie, it's solid. The gunplay in that movie is solid. And if he's the one who taught Keanu Reeves gunplay, then the guy's did his job and he's good at it, regardless of whether he's a fucking dirtbag or not. But if he's paying some chick $90,000 a year to blow him on the side and shoot guns for him, what the fuck? You know what? I'm a fan. I'm all for it because hey, if I had that kind of money, I'd do the same thing. Well,
There's girls out there in California blowing guys for less money than apparently some of these girls are getting.
exactly. And look,
I mean,
this girl did not seem like she was in distress at all. I'm totally okay with whatever arrangement she has with him, and I don't look down on the guy or his business because of whatever the hell he's doing. All I know is if he taught Keanu Reeves his gunplay, I'm a fucking fan.
I will say this about Taran. I need to specify for those people that don't know who he is. There's a couple things about Taran that you have to really like. Number one, the dude, this is no joke, the dude can shoot. The dude is a shooter. Mm-hmm. And here's something else I think a lot of people should appreciate. I don't think I've ever seen – now, I've seen him in person, but I don't remember. He's not a short guy. He's also not a young guy, and he's not a little guy. And what I mean by that, he's probably our age, Freeze. Okay. And he's a big boy. He's a big boy. And that dude gets around.
So is he built more like me or more like you?
Probably more like you.
Okay.
On the scale, I would say I'd probably 60-40. He's not.
So what you're saying is he's a lady killer.
Yeah.
like you.
Apparently.
The women's pet, the men's regret.
Yeah, that's Taran Butler. Taran Tactical, the women's pet, the men. Yeah. So it's like, look, I will get off of it because it was a big story. And it's like, I guess we got to talk about this. If you are in the firearms industry and you do not know the difference between Taran Butler's shooting team and the Smith & Wesson shooting team, just looking at the people on the team, then you are dumber than Hammered Rock. And we'll just leave it at that. I mean,
agreed 100%.
Yeah, it's like it should be. The legal phrase is prima facie, Latin on its face. And apparently might be on its face. I mean, I don't even, we don't know where they edited the video. So,
the only question I have is, will this affect Taran's bottom line with sponsors or whatever?
No.
My opinion is no.
No. The only thing that will happen bad to Taran is if this Jade girl, I don't know where he dug her up from, but he dug her up from like Applebee's at happy hour. And if she decides that she wants to be a victim and she files a lawsuit and comes out and claims sexual harassment and all this other kind of stuff, which is, because she's like, I could get big money. I mean, this happens. She may jump on that train, and if that happens, it will seriously damage him. But otherwise, no.
It could damage him. But I think he's big enough to where even if he loses a sponsor or two, he can pick up sponsor. I mean, it may be a hiccup in the road, is what I'm saying, but I don't think it's going to bankrupt him and lead him into being out of business.
He's already come out. You know what? I should say this too, so we don't get sued. He's already come out. He's issued a statement, very well written statement. He's doing the right thing. He's getting in front of it and saying that he's claiming that this video was not meant for publication. He's claiming that this video was stolen off his phone from a former social media employee. I don't even know what that really means. He's talking about, he's saying all the right things. He sells guns. He does gunsmithing. He sells gun parts. He sells the John Wick guns. He probably makes money off monetizing videos. He's got his half-naked chicks. I mean, look, you ever watch a video of his range and you see the girls on his range? The only time the girls aren't dressed like booty chicks is when there's an actual major actor on the range. So like Halle Berry's there, you don't see a bunch of half-naked chicks around. Or John Wick's there, Keanu Reeves is there, you don't generally see a bunch of half-naked chicks. But if they're videotaping just them shooting on his range, the girls will be in like crop tops and like tube tops and like shit you would never wear shooting steel at like 15 feet.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Well, you know what? Crazy as it is, at the end of the day, I mean, I agree with you on the whole thing about, it was released by someone. I mean, why would you even film that? I don't know. But at the end of the day, regardless of the release of the films, I don't really look at him negatively. I don't look down on him. I mean, it's like, hey, whatever, cool. I mean, I don't really care. And I don't think less of him or his company. I'm totally okay with it.
Hell, there's probably a 30-year age. There's probably at least a 25-year age difference between Taran Butler, I would think, and the girl in the video.
And you know what? Bravo to Taran Butler.
That's you know what? That's, I mean, like, here's the thing. Hugh Hefner's business model, running those girls through his mansion, was literally the same business model that Taran Butler does, running girls through his ranch. It's
and
the same thing.
I do want to say that if Taran Butler, he probably won't ever listen to this podcast, but if he actually
Are you going to ask him for a job? Are you going to ask him
No. Well, if he wants to offer me a job, I'm available. But because I will drop John1911.com like a hot fucking rock to go with him. But
the fringe benefits.
I do apologize to him for mispronouncing his name and calling him Terrence. This whole podcast.
Mr. Butler. Okay. At some point, we're going to actually have to talk about what SHOT Show is supposedly really about, the guns. Is there anything anybody wants to? I generally don't. Look, I used to work SHOT. It was usually exhausting, and there's a lot of shit at SHOT. I mean, there's a lot of crap, and I'm actually, as I've gotten older and I've been through that process, like all these websites, these bloggers. And they go to SHOT and they do stories on interesting stuff. I actually am super appreciative of it now because I'd rather just have a day to look at the end and be like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. As opposed to a week of setting up, working a booth, tearing it down, and flying home. And you looked at 5,000 things to only remember 4. I mean, it's totally worth my time.
Well, I mean, the SHOT Show is kind of like the NRA show. After you've been to a dozen of them, it's like, it's exhausting.
It is.
And it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just, if anyone has ever been to a SHOT Show or an NRA show or anything like the above, it's just, oh man, it's so exhausting.
Well, the thing is, there's probably a difference. See, I've never been to the SHOT Show as a person that walks around SHOT Show. I've been to the SHOT Show as a vendor.
Well, and that's because the SHOT Show is not open to the public.
Yeah, well, I got news for you. You walk around the goddamn SHOT Show, there's a bunch of people that shouldn't be there.
No, I don't disagree with that. I mean, because look, even though it's not open to the public, it's easy to get in if you try.
Yeah, so Freeze, is there anything... I've got a list of stuff that I thought was pretty interesting at this year's SHOT. Like, I thought, HK did come out with 17-round BP9 mags and a red dot slide. The Scar 20's out in 6.5 Creedmoor. SIG's got a carry version of the P210. This alien pistol out of Czech Republic seems really cool. Robinson supposedly is going to re-release the M96, which is a copy of the Stoner 63, kind of a copy. And let's see here. The Brownells is releasing an AR-180 clone, updated clone, which I thought was kind of cool.
Look, I'm interested in the 180 clone. I really, and I'm interested. I like how Brownells coming out with the whole retro AR line. The AR-15, the old Woodstock, M16s and all that shit. I'm really cool with that, and I like the AR-180 because I've always been a fan of the AR-180 anyway. But the main thing that's really interested me out of the SHOT Show this year is the Alien pistol.
I gotta admit, that's a pretty interesting gun.
It is.
Danny, have you
really,
seen the video of the alien pistol?
Yes, I did.
yes,
Yes, I did.
yeah, I've seen it as well, and I
It
tell you
kind of
what,
reminded me of a Steyr Han, to be honest with you.
yeah, it kind of does.
Fixed barrel, the top of it lifts off. I mean, I'm sure there's there's a different gun that's closer to, but it seems like a Steyr Han. What I like about it too is, for those that don't know, the alien pistol. Turns out I was wrong, Freeze, when I told you it was being brought in by CZ. It's actually being brought in by Lancer Systems, which is the magazine company, I believe. And so, but this gun it's got a fixed barrel, and so it's got a fixed barrel. The slide, like a normal slide on a gun, you've got the two sides and the top. Well, the sides of the slide reciprocate, but the top of the slide does not. It stays still.
Yes.
So the sights or red dot, whatever you mount, doesn't move, and it stays fixed to the barrel that also doesn't move because it doesn't have a Browning drop lock system. It's a fixed barrel, so the gun shoots extremely flat.
Yes, and it's got a real the axis, the barrel axis is real tight as well.
Yeah, it's supposedly it sits real low in the hand.
Yes,
I've heard. Now I don't know how well the gun runs dirty. I mean, I'd be curious how it, but I mean, if anyone actually shot it at range day, I mean that could be interesting. Now here's the other thing, what I think is smart, because I think it's after what's happened with the Hudson in particular. These guns, this alien pistol was made by hand. I'm pretty certain. I mean, I'm sure they have a manufacturing process, but this isn't like a gun that they can mass produce like Glock cranks out Glocks. So they're gonna, the first 500 of these guns, they're gonna come in a case and have some options. They're $5,000, and it's like, I think that's probably a good idea. I mean, personally, because I don't know if they can mass produce that gun.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the gun's interesting to me. I like it. We'll see. I mean, but I liked the Hudson when it came out at shot, and we saw, we know where that went.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it goes. But as far as the initial, shot release, I like it. I think it's interesting. Like I said, I don't know if it'll survive, but I mean, it won't survive at $5,000. I can guarantee you that.
Is it for more? You think it's for more of a niche market?
Nah, even at a niche market, Danny, it's not going to survive. I mean, look, they need to bring that gun down to about $1,500, and if they can't bring it down to $1,500, it will not survive a year. I mean, that's just the reality of the market, because why would you want to buy this gun at $5,000 when you can literally buy 1,000 different other handguns that are just as good, if not better, for less than $1,500?
I look at this gun kind of like the way I look at a lot of the high-end hunting rifles out of Europe. They're boutique guns made by hand for high-end clientele. I would be willing to bet you that this company in the Czech Republic, whatever their business model is, they probably don't need to sell 40,000 of these guns a year. I mean, they're probably not in hawk up to their eyebrows like Hudson, trying to get the volume. They probably just have a completely different business model. And I
we'll
think,
see.
We'll see. I mean, I think they'll make the first 500, and they'll sell those $5,000 guns. It's not a gun for a Glock owner. It's a gun for somebody like us, a boutique. Well, probably realistically, it'll probably like me, a boutique, like it's a reference. That's a reference gun.
Definitely not like me.
Yeah. I was about to say us, but I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. Freeze isn't stroking a check for that. That's for the armory. But it's kind of like it's a test bed platform to show some concepts. It'll be a historically interesting gun. It's unique mechanically. It's for dudes like me. You know what I mean? It's like a Korth pistol or not a revolver, a Korth pistol. It's like these really kind of bougie, expensive, Halo guns that are just, nobody's ever heard of them unless of course it'll probably be in a video game and all the kids will have heard of it. So.
Well, hey, Freeze, I think even way up here in the distance, I heard taps when somebody had to throw a sight in the garbage the other day, and Marky posted about that. Who could that have been?
I have no clue what the hell you're even talking about.
You mean the Trash 25?
Yeah.
God.
Oh, yeah, the Trash 25. Wow.
TRS 25 Bushnell.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yep.
Look, I want to preface this by saying that I am a fan of Bushnell optics, and I've got a half a dozen different Bushnell optics on different firearms. I do. I like them. I'm coming from a hunting background. I mean, and I've used them for 40 freaking years plus. I have no problem with Bushnell as a company. I like them. I talked to Marky about this the other day when we were talking on the phone. I mean, I like Bushnell, but look, the TRS 25 is dog shit. And look, I successfully I put the TRS 25 that was on the AR pistol build that went south on me. Originally I had that mounted on a Vepr 12, which is an AK-47 12 gauge shotgun, and you can go to the website and we've got articles on it. It's a neat gun, and I've successfully killed deer with that gun with the same TRS 25 optic. However, maybe that optics had maybe 50 rounds of 12 gauge through it before I put it on the 5.56, and then it went south. And honestly, dude, if it can't handle 50 rounds of 12 gauge through it, that means if you drop the goddamn gun, the thing's going south anyway. Yeah. It's just the optics just garbage. And I mean, if you want to mount it on a little 22 rifle, you'll probably have no fucking problems with it. But the truth is, man, I mean, I chased function on this optic for way too long. Way too long. I invested way too much time in something that I should have ripped off and put it on the shelf a long time ago and just went on down the road. Unfortunately, I didn't, and I played with it, and I wasted half a freaking summer on the range with it, dicking with it. And honestly, I mean, I think there's a couple videos of me shooting it and griping about it, but that's just a fraction of the amount of times I had it on the range trying to get the damn thing to work.
Meanwhile, in the armory, we have aim points that are almost a decade old with no issues.
That work just freaking fine.
That have been hammered to death.
Yes.
But they're $700 optics.
Yeah. So
how much was the Bushnell?
So I had to give up. I had to give up on it, and it was time to just, basically, you just have to admit you just have to admit that it's a fail and rip it off. And I've been looking for optics, and then we were talking along. We've been talking for months about, instead of going with a traditional red dot, just going with you know, an LVPO, you know, and it's like, you know what? I like that option because, you know, the old eyes aren't getting any freaking better. That's for damn sure. And it's like, you know, red dot's fine in the pistol pit, but, you know, if I want to take this out, you know, and bang some steel at distance, you know, it's like I need a little magnification, you know. So
Yeah.
So I opted to go that route. And, you know, this Vortex, and I'm not going to say I'm a big Vortex fanboy, but honestly, you know, I got a damn good deal on it because everyone's blowing out to 1 to 6 powers, you know,
Yeah,
because
they're blowing because there's a 1 to 10, but we got to keep this moving because we're going to run out of power here on the microphones here before too long. So, Danny, is there anything you saw at SHOT that impressed you, or?
No, actually, other than that alien, I would like to see it. But my question on that would be, it's got to be a bitch to clean.
It looks like it comes apart pretty easily.
I would like to actually hold one and see one, but for $5,000, no.
Yeah, they'll if they do survive, they'll come out with a $3,000 version probably. But
yeah, but again, 3,000, 5,000. What's the difference?
Well, I mean, 1911 guys, they selling $3,000-$4,000 guns all the time. But I tell you what, the one gun I saw this, and I think this is I think it has a potential to be, and I mentioned it has a potential to be a disaster. Is Robinson Arms has announced that they're going to repop their M96 take on the Stoner 63, and I think that's going to be a disaster because the number one, they had a lot of issues with that gun. We have one in the Armory. We've never fired it. We got it out of a PD up north, but they had a lot of issues with them with some kind of parts breakages, and then I guess the guy who owns that company has a reputation for being kind of a jerk, which you have to be honest with you, in the firearms industry, because there's a lot of jerks in this business. Well, everybody's got retro guns. Well, here's my fear. Here's my fear with this. Everybody says, "Oh man, they should remake that. They should remake that." And he's like, "Okay, I'm going to remake this." And he hasn't given prices. He said he's going to do a limited run, but I'll bet you this thing is every bit of $1,500 to $1,900. And these kids are going to shit all over it because they're going to be like, why doesn't this cost $800 like a Brownell's retro gun? It's going to be like, well, because the Brownell's retro guns are essentially ARs that are being made by 100 companies. They have volume to bring the price down. And I think what's going to happen is I think there's a lot of people on the internet that have been talking out of their ass that they're going to buy one of these. He's not going to get the deposits that he needs. And I even question whether he'll actually release these guns because he's going to get pissed off and shut it down.
Well, you know, that very well may be the case because you're going to have the same argument that you're seeing right now with Colt on the Python.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you get right down to it, I mean, okay, the cool kids on the internet may not like the price, but again, you bring up a good point. You know, the retro ARs that Brownell's putting out, it's just an AR with some retro furniture on it. It's no big deal. And you can produce those guns at a reasonable price. This is a gun that you have to basically build from scratch.
Is a scratch-built gun. He's got the tooling. But
he's got the tooling, but you're not going to get a $500 or an $800 or a $900 or even $1,000 gun. You're not. When you got it, you know. I mean,
if you're listening to this, and you're one of these guys, and you're like, I'd get one of them M96s. You better, as soon as this podcast is over, you better get off the computer, get on the phone, and call Robinson and give them a credit card like today, because this will not happen. I'm telling you, he may fill the orders he gets, but he's not going to get as many orders as he's hoping, as the internet says he's going to get. I'd love to be wrong, but if you don't buy this gun right now, you will never buy one.
Hey,
I don't disagree. I hope you're wrong, and I hope it's successful. But I kind of had the feeling that you're going to be right about this.
Maybe he'll make a Brent kit. What were you saying? Danny?
Have you noticed since Colt has re-released the Python on YouTube, there are now more 357 videos than I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I noticed what's happened is a lot of people. I know a lot of people are they're chasing because it's a hot item, and so they're getting them on video because the bloggers want to do videos on them. So it's it's getting a lot of traffic. Like I've seen the videos. Obviously, you've seen the videos, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. I've seen some of the issues with the Pythons. I don't know what the issues are. I've never held one. I've never shot one. I've never fingered one. I'm just going to wait and see what happens. Like the Python's the hotness this year, among people, among non-$5,000 guns, the Python's the hotness, but there's always a hotness. The Hudson was the hotness, before that it was, I don't know, like a retro gun or the Colt Cobra was the hot gun, or the Glock model, whatever, was the hot gun. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you what I thought was super neat. And we didn't talk about this, but then we got to wrap this one up because we're going to probably lose connection here. Ruger is releasing the 5.7 pistol. Did you guys see that?
I seen the headline, but I didn't read any substance with it.
I've seen the Ruger 5.7, and I'll be honest with you. I know you're kind of like, I don't want to say hot on the 5.7, but dude, the 5.7 just so, I am so not interested in a 5.7 gun. Now look, I'm a big fan of Ruger, and I like Ruger guns. And I think the Ruger 5.7, from what I've seen, I think it'd be a damn good gun. But man, I just don't give two shits about the 5.7.
Well, okay, that's the point here, because my interest in the 5.7 was the FN as a reference gun. And, but the FN 5.7 has some really goofy ergonomics on it. And it's like, well, you look at the Ruger 5.7 and you're like, it apparently takes an FN mags, which is smart, like a 20 or 30 round magazine. And, it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe that makes some sense. I mean, I don't know. I just thought it was, 5.7 as an actual gun to carry. I don't know. I had some kid from FN, an FN sales rep a couple months ago, trying to tell me that the FN 5.7 in Europe is the new hotness because they're all afraid of terrorists wearing body armor. And like he was saying that the 5.7's like really coming back because like it's huge and everybody's getting into this now. And I remember being like, oh, okay, I guess. But I don't know. Something's up with the 5.7. And I've even noticed FN has been doing more promotions with their 5.7 line in the U.S. this year. And so something's up with it for sure. I don't know what FN's thinking, but this isn't random. This isn't by accident. And obviously Ruger sees it, or they want to come out with the gun. So,
yeah.
Well, hey, go ahead, please.
I don't disagree with you. They're very well maybe something up, and maybe the whole thing with the Europe and the body armor thing could be real. But I'm just saying from my personal opinion, I just don't give two shits about 5.7.
Yeah, nobody gives two shits about it because it'll burn up your steel plates and it's expensive to shoot. And it's probably loud as fuck.
Yeah.
I bet you shoot one of those down here in protection, you're fucking done. That thing's that'd be like, it'd be like shooting a short-barreled AR. Like without, I'm telling you, that gun's got to be loud. I've never been around one fire, but
I've never been around one either.
Yeah, you probably can't even find ammo for it. So,
hey, Marky, over at the Armory, are you going to have a party for when the parts cleaner arrives?
We are doing some upgrades to the Armory, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And in the spring, there'll be some major changes that we can maybe discuss. But they're you know, we'll see. Possibly. They're
Well, drive on. You know what, Danny? You want to drive on down? We'll have a party.
Oh, well, I have no problem with that. Oh, Mark, do you know what today is? Don't you?
Today is the day you're supposed to be buying me a steak at Capitol Grill.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, because of scheduling conflicts, we had to cancel. And you know, and I understand, and it's we'll definitely reschedule that now because I definitely want my steak from Capitol Grill. I love the Capitol Grill in Minneapolis. It's my favorite restaurant, and I love the hotel I love that hotel as well.
So you're
Conrad.
A bet is a bet, and I don't welch.
No, I know you don't welch. So, all right. Well, this wraps up episode 159 of the John 1911 podcast. If you want to see pictures, videos, or links of Taran Butler creeping on a girl, go to our website, john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Show me your precious. What the fuck was that?
See ya. Bye.